What's up, everybody? I am back with 13 Nights of Halloween 2021. Wait, before you ask what is 13 Nights of Halloween, please go watch 13 Nights of Halloween 2020 and see what I did there. I highly recommend it. They're very cool, fun, and just me riffing on these movies that I picked out at random. So yes, let me refresh you. I made a list of hundreds of horror movies, and then that covers all the subgenres under the horror umbrella, and I picked them out at random, and those are the movies I reviewed and just riffed on for 13 nights straight leading into Halloween, October 31st, because I love Halloween, spooky season. So yeah, so rewatch those videos. Here's a link to the first video I did where I explained what I was gonna do, and yeah, enjoy. I'm gonna be starting now, so here's the first movie for the first night of Halloween. Let's do it. Alright guys, we're back here again, and I'm gonna be choosing 13 movies from this hat. I'm at the mercy of this hat. I can get anything that I choose. I'll be closing my eyes obviously before I pick them, but it's 13 movies for 13 days out of this hat, so I'm at the mercy of this hat. Whatever I choose, I gotta pick and watch and review it on that specific day. All right, let's go. Movie number 1. All right, what is this? Jeepers Creepers. Where'd you get those beepers? I think that's how it goes. Yeah, but Jeepers Creepers. Awesome. I haven't seen this in a while. I always liked it.
Jeepers Creepers.
Jeepers Creepers released in 2001 and is directed by Victor Salva. It's about two siblings coming home for spring break, and they are terrorized by a demonic creature that comes alive every 23rd spring and feasts for 23 days during that spring.
Every 23rd spring, for 23 days, it gets to eat.
This movie and its sequel were kind of a big deal back in the early 2000s. Both of them were profitable original horror films with a new monster. While the two films, don't really care for the third or fourth one, aren't brought up much today, I still think they're worth a watch for horror fans. I much prefer the second one, and I've seen it way more than this one, but I gotta say, this first one's actually a solid watch despite it being uneven and losing momentum the more it goes along. The first half of this movie is superior to the second half. It starts off with two siblings just having a conversation, driving in a southern interstate. They are then chased by a sinister truck and find the creeper dropping off bodies. To me, this whole sequence just felt like an old grindhouse chase film akin to the original Mad Max, but with a horror monster truck driver and that whole, bending of the genre. I just wish this was the tone the movie kept up the whole time. The creeper himself looks cool, but can be goofy at times when he starts moving like Neo. The makeup itself is cool and awesome, but the grandpa hair is a bit much. Justin Long's career pretty much started here and gives a star-making performance with his energetic and sweaty performance. He's kind of a 2000s icon, if it's kind of weird to be honest. But anyway, apparently the third act was rewritten as they were filming it, and it feels that way because it just doesn't feel as energetic as the first half. Overall, I enjoyed Jeepers Creepers. It's a mix between a car chase movie that keeps moving and a slasher with a cool monster and good performances from Justin Long and the person who plays his sister, Gina Phillips. 7 jack-o'-lanterns out of 10. Alright, number 2. And this is Frankenweenie, the Tim Burton movie. Alright, the Tim Burton classic. Well, no, it's not really a classic because it came out but yeah, Frankenweenie, the Disney movie by Tim Burton. Awesome. That's the second one. Frankenweenie released in 2012 and is directed by Tim Burton and is a remake of a Disney short he directed in 1984 that was his gateway into Hollywood. The existence of this film is fascinating because when Disney saw the original short, they fired Burton claiming it was inappropriate for young audiences. But as Burton became hot after a streak of successful films, Disney brought him back and they have had a relationship since. Frankenweenie is a delightfully grotesque film from beginning to end that has Burton's iconic gothic style, while also mixing in the aesthetics of classic horror films like Frankenstein and 50s sci-fi. The whole plot is a play on the Frankenstein plot. This little boy, his name is Victor Frankenstein, ha ha ha, I know, and he loses his dog to a car accident, and he uses unnatural means to bring him back. Obviously, what happens next in the movie as it goes on is not good, as the dog's body keeps falling apart, and the other kids in his class attempt to do the same with their animals, and just bad things just start to happen. It gets really chaotic. The film is absolutely beautiful. The black and white stop motion animation looks awesome, and you can see all the details in every frame. You can tell Burton was having too much fun expanding upon the thing that started his career and taking it to the next level, while also taking the things that inspire him and just having a blast with it. This film is an excellent family watch for the holiday season. It might scare younger kids, but not in a scarring way. 9 out of 10 jack-o'-lanterns.
He's alive!
What's next? Okay. The Last House on the Left. Alright, the original one. This is definitely going to be something because these 70s horror movies are out of their mind, but I cannot wait to watch it.
Last house on the left.
The Last House on the Left was released in 1972 and is the directorial debut of horror legend Wes Craven. It is labeled as an exploitation film, which are seen as B movies that intentionally try to exploit behaviors and trends of the time. And when watching this movie, it pretty much is the definition of a B-level exploitation film that is meant to shock its audiences. Made on a shoestring budget, this film manages to be effective in depicting horrific acts, and since this is the 70s, this film absolutely goes places modern films won't today. This film is about two girls who go out in the city and get kidnapped by a group of trashy criminals who do absolutely terrible things to these women, and their parents are trying to figure out what happened to them. This movie is trashy, intense, shocking, violent, and at times very hard to watch. Despite the complicated manner this film was made, with the emotional abuse aimed at an actress on set, making her moments of distress feel a little too real, it is fascinating to see the first film from such an acclaimed director of the genre. Craven, even in his later films, pulled no punches, and you can definitely see shades of what he did in his later films in this one that made him such an icon. If you can handle trashy 70s entertainment, despite it being made in a very complicated manner, then I would recommend this to any horror fan to see the origins of Wes Craven. It is an intense watch and good for late night viewing. 7.5 jack-o'-lanterns.
Only a movie. Only a movie.
Night of the Living Dead, George A. Romero's first movie, considered the godfather of all zombie movies. Alright, let's do this.
Night. Of the Living Dead.
Night of the Living Dead was released in 1968 and was directed by George A. Romero. It's essentially the first modern zombie film that set the blueprint for everything to come. When watching this film, you realize how much of it is still ripped off today in all forms of media. YouTuber Captain Christian did an incredible video essay on this film and how the distribution company messed up by essentially forgetting to copyright this film, and when the right amount of time passed, it entered the public domain. That's right, a movie this influential and important can be seen on YouTube right now, and no one can do a damn thing about it. If this film was copyrighted, George A. Romero probably would have been George Lucas level rich had he been able to merchandise the zombie, and how much, people would have had to pay him to have the permission to use the zombies. And yeah, but it's all in the public domain, and you, me, Game of Thrones, Left 4 Dead, Call of Duty, all them things can use zombies that are heavily inspired by George A. Romero. but he can't do a damn thing about it because he didn't copyright the movie. So yeah, but you know what? George A. Romero also had a very successful career, so it's all good. So yeah, the movie is simple. The undead flesh eaters have risen. People are trapped in a house and they have to survive. This movie is cutting corners at every moment. The blood is chocolate syrup. The zombies, or as they're referred to in this movie, ghouls, are clearly eating poultry. The acting isn't the best. The makeup isn't always there. But what elevates this film to what it is today is Romero's energetic direction that makes it feel a lot more modern compared to other films of that time. It also has some sneaky social commentary that still resonates today. I also really love the lead actor Dwayne Jones. He's cool, calm, and collected, and I will follow his lead in the zombie apocalypse. This film does not let up, and the movie was shot in a way where you actually feel the moment-to-moment intensity. Also, using the news broadcast as an expositional device to explain what the creatures are and what's going on in the world is actually quite effective and was another way of Romero using his limitations to creative use. The climax of this film is thrilling and pulls no punches even with the low budget. So, have there been better zombie movies released after this? Hell yeah. But none of them. I mean none of them. Whether it's movies, video games, shows, books, anything. None of those things that have any resemblance to this movie would have existed without this film because of some person's mistake not to copyright it. So yeah, watch this movie as a horror fan, and it absolutely gets 9 out of 10 jack-o'-lanterns. Alright, let's see. Damn it. Okay, so this is 2, but you know what? I'll take it. Host and The Descent. 2 well-regarded, kind of classic, modern classics. So yeah, so 2 movies I chose out of this. I'm stupid because they're supposed to be cut in half, but whatever. I chose these 2. All right, so that's 5 and 6. Host and Descent. Host released in 2020 on Shudder and was directed by Rob Savage. It is a computer screen film that revolves around 6 friends who have a seance via Zoom. This is the most pandemic-era horror film I've ever seen, and I honestly kind of loved it for that. The film does a good job of establishing its characters and personalities and setting up what's going on through freaking Zoom. A lot of films with 1,000 times this film's budget can't even accomplish these basic things. This truly is an entertaining 50 minutes where you know the seance is going to go wrong, but the fact that they pulled it off with 6 different people in 6 locations is really impressive. I'd recommend it to anyone who wants a unique, stripped-back horror experience with some solid scares. Watch this late at night on a laptop or tablet for added effect, and you'll see why this is a 8 out of 10 jack-o'-lanterns. Alright, let's see. Damn it. Okay, so this is 2, but you know what? I'll take it. Host and The Descent. 2 well-regarded, kind of classic, modern classics. So yeah, so 2 movies I chose out of this. I'm stupid because they're supposed to be cut in half, but whatever. I chose these 2. All right, so that's 5 and 6. Host and Descent. The Descent released in 2005 and was directed by Neil Marshall. It revolves around 6 British women who go on a cave dive, and of course, it goes completely to hell with cave-dwelling mutants hunting these lovely ladies. This movie does a damn good job of setting up its characters and making them distinctive from one another. At first, you just feel like you're chilling with some Brits enjoying the bloody American outdoors. But things gradually get worse for them once they enter this cave they probably shouldn't have gone to. The ensemble is great. The film looks exceptional with its wonderful cinematography highlighting the beautiful forests, the dark claustrophobic caverns, the awesome lighting from the flares. The gory bloody action feels so intense with the mutants pulling no punches on their prey. I mean, it is just crazy. These mutants are wild. They get at these lovely British ladies like nothing. It's honestly great. Overall, this movie made me terrified of caves, which means the movie did its job, so it gets 9 out of 10 jack-o'-lanterns. Alright, what's next? Don't Look Now, 1973. Alright, cool. Never seen it. Another 70s horror movie. Those movies are out of their mind. Alright. Don't Look Now released in 1973 and is directed by Nicholas Roeg. It's about a couple who loses a child, who then spend time in Venice, Italy, where they meet a lady who is psychic that makes contact with their daughter, and weird things just start to happen. This is more of a drama than a horror movie, and it's about, it's a drama about grief. It definitely has its horror aesthetic, but it focuses more on how loss really affects this couple. The imagery of Venice is both beautiful and creepy. I don't know how they do that, because it's a beautiful city, but once it gets dark, it just looks like a completely different city from hell that I do not want to be in. The lead performances from Donald Sutherland and Julie Christie are great, and you really feel the love and sadness between them. There's also a desperation to these characters who just want to move on with their lives because of the loss of their child. This movie is praised and influential in its editing style, where it intercuts things in frames so the viewer isn't quite sure what's going on. It felt trippy watching this, as weird and creepy incidents just keep going on, making me question, what the hell was I just watching? This movie is an interesting watch, but I wasn't crazy about it, so by the time it was over, I was like, huh, that was something. So, yeah, it's worth a watch. 7 out of 10 jack-o'-lanterns. So that's 7. When there's something strange. Alright, Ghostbusters, let's go. I believe that's 8 now. Alright, we're going.
Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters released in 1984 and is directed by Ivan Reitman. This is one of those movies I've always liked, but I'm like, I just don't love it. I didn't love it as much as the older generation did, and I kind of always roll my eyes at them. It's like, look, we get it. It's a bunch of funny guys fighting ghosts in New York City. Ha ha ha. It's so funny. Cool. Bill Murray's in it. Yay. And in all fairness, it's a movie that could have been an absolute disaster in the wrong hands, but thankfully the right ones handle it. And when I rewatched this movie for 13 Nights of Halloween, I realized why it was such a special movie. It mixes the spectacle of summer blockbusters with the comedic sensibilities of that time.
You want this body?
Is this a trick question?
To make something so unique that satisfies people of all demographics who either like to laugh or be thrilled. Bill Murray, Harold Ramis, Dan Aykroyd, Sigourney Weaver, Rick Moranis, and yes, the best Ghostbuster, Ernie Hudson, they're just a murderer's row of actors who are all going for it in their performances, and you just feel their charisma and chemistry throughout this whole movie. So yeah, the special effects still hold up today for the most part, especially the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, who actually looks really good to this day. The talent behind this film elevates this movie to a whole new level that it should not have been allowed to reach. So yeah, if you want something spooky, but don't feel like getting too creepy, and you want to laugh, well, who are you gonna call? Ghostbusters! 9 out of 10 jack-o'-lanterns. Woo!
Ghostbusters.
We came, we saw, we kicked it.
Oh, what's this? You're next. I believe Adam Wingard? Yes, Adam Wingard. Another modern classic that's become kind of, the cult, rides with this movie. But yeah, can't wait to watch this. Your Next was released in 2011 and was directed by Adam Wingard. It revolves around a prissy, rich family coming together for a reunion in their vacation home, and they are being attacked by some mysterious masked men with arrows. So yeah, these people in these masks are just shooting this family, and you're like, what the f is going on? This actually had me on the edge of my seat, and I was trying to figure out what was going on. It was truly unpredictable, and when the crap starts hitting the fan, the twists and turns don't stop until the very end. Good kills and good performances, especially from the kick-ass lead actress, Sharni Vinson, make this a really solid horror flick from who many consider to be one of the best directors of horror today, who also freaking made Godzilla vs. Kong. The less said about the details of this plot, the better. Just let it take you on a ride and enjoy the 8 out of 10 jack-o'-lantern experience. Invasion of the Body Snatchers. So I saw the original one last year, so I'm seeing, I believe, the one with Donald Sutherland, which I believe is in the 70s or the 80s. But wow, I cannot wait to watch this. I watched an original last year, and I'm watching a remake this year. Awesome. Invasion of the Body Snatchers is a remake of the 50s classic that I reviewed last year, directed by Philip Kaufman. It's the same premise from the 50s film, but this time in the 70s, in San Francisco, and with alien pod people trying to take over the world. So yeah, this remake improves upon everything the 50s film did. Better actors, better writing, and characterization, and overall just 20 more years of filming advancements. It is just creepy and thrilling from beginning to end, and the pod people are such evil manipulators, so when you let your guard down, they will replace you. Yeah, so keep an eye out on those people who aren't right, because they're gonna sneak up on you, and and you're gonna become a pod person. Yeah, this is honestly the type of remake that needs to happen more often. Improve upon a flawed film that had potential but was maybe limited. Seriously, I do not know how anyone could prefer the 50s version unless they just prefer the aesthetics of that time. Canada's greatest human being, Donald Sutherland, who was also in Don't Look Now, a movie I reviewed a couple days before, who was the father of the greatest Canadian to ever play an American, and Kiefer Sutherland, is great in anything, including this. Freaking Jeff Goldblum is this. Of course he's good. He's sexy. Come on. Spock himself, the OG Spock, Leonard Nimoy, is in this, and he is just a prick. The actresses Elizabeth Driscoll and Veronica Cartwright are also really good in this as well. The special effects for the pod people are insanely good, and it looks really creepy when they are emerging and slowly replicating the human form. Like, look at some of this. It is freaking gross and creepy, and it's terrifying when a mob of normal-looking people are just chasing after you. And I'm just like, man, what if this happened in real life? Just people randomly chasing you for no reason. I would be terrified. The musical score was also just so atmospheric, and the cinematography highlighting San Francisco was great and made the film just feel a lot more modern than it is. Overall, Invasion of the Body Snatchers is one of the best remakes I've ever seen that improves upon everything that the classic 50s film did. It has you on the edge of your seat until the very end, and by the time it's done, you'll be sitting like, damn. 10 jack-o'-lanterns out of 10. Alright, what am I choosing? Nightmare Before Christmas. Awesome. We'll see. I'm gonna definitively say if it's a Christmas movie or a Halloween movie.
In comes The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Nightmare Before Christmas is a stop-motion animated film released in 1993, directed by Henry Selick. Not Tim Burton. Yes, Tim Burton had a creative input in it, but Henry Selick was the director. I had always enjoyed this movie, but rolled my eyes at all the punk rock, emo, Panic at the Disco kids in my generation who adore this movie and made it a personality trait. But I've come around to this movie, and I think it's easily one of the greatest achievements in animation. This film is as important to stop-motion animation just as Toy Story is to CGI. Unfortunately, hand-drawn animation and stop motion have become casualties of CGI's triumph. This movie is so visually inventive and wacky and showcases the beauty of stop motion and what it's capable of. It'll always have the advantage over CGI, and yes, even hand-drawn, for actually being on camera and being able to see the details of each figure at all times. It's amazing how you can see the individual strands of Sally's hair or every single bug in Oogie Boogie. But for all of stop motion's benefits comes the sheer amount of work of creating every single figure and exhaustingly capturing every single frame. A 5-second scene probably takes hours to capture perfectly, but it's so worth it in the end if you know what you are doing.
Stop motion animation is a process whereby we take a puppet like this and we move him a little bit. Take your hand away, take a picture.
And we don't just do one move and that's it. We move his hips and then move the right knee and then we move the ankle and the neck and the arm.
A technique that could drive you, insane.
To complete just 1 minute of finished film takes an entire week of animating.
Besides the animation, the music is so infectiously catchy. Every song complements one another, mixing the horror of Halloween and the joy of Christmas. Danny Elfman was really in his bag making musical gold during this time. I love how hilariously grotesque their interpretation of Christmas is, with the monsters, the body parts falling off, decapitation. It's also delightfully morbid. We can argue or not whether this is a Halloween or Christmas movie, but the beauty of it is that it captures both seasons exceptionally well and really explores the fact that nowadays both seasons bleed into one another, because once we get past October 31st, it's Christmas already. Yes, I was too hard on all the My Chemical Romance scene kids who love this movie, because I see the light now. Enough has been said about this classic, so yes, 10 jack-o'-lanterns out of 10. Alright, two more guys, two more. What's this? My Bloody Valentine, the original. Okay, cool. Classic slasher. So, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
My Bloody Valentine.
My Bloody Valentine was released in 1981 and was directed by George Mihalka. This film is a gloriously shameless ripoff of Halloween and Friday the 13th. It revolves around the holiday, and the killer is a, spoiler alert, someone who's avenging past wrongdoings in his life, just like Jason. It's trashy, but not in the way The Last House on the Left is, but more in the guilty pleasure way. Like it's a guy in a mining suit killing a bunch of people in a mining town on Valentine's Day, like... Wow, LOL. Before the killing starts, you know it has the typical horror subplots with love triangles and drunk people. I'll give this movie credit for revolving around adults rather than teens, and it has some inventive set pieces and kills once the characters are in the mines and the killing just starts going. An interesting fact about this film was that it was apparently censored so it wouldn't be rated X. Apparently those cutscenes have never been restored, and it feels that way at times, with some kills weirdly happening off screen. It's a fun, trashy watch that you can have with friends either during spooky season or, love-making season. 6.5 jack-o'-lanterns, or rather, 6.5 hearts out of 10. Woo! Alright. And it is the Boxtrolls. Alright, so those are my 13 movies.
The Boxtrolls.
Off with box.
The Boxtrolls is a Studio Leica stop-motion animated film released in 2014, directed by Graham Anaby and Anthony Stauchy. I don't know. It's about a bunch of trolls who lives in boxes, aka Boxtrolls, who are hunted by the people above ground while a human boy has been raised by the Boxtrolls, and they plan on to stop the hunting. Yeah, these people are just hunting these adorable little trolls. Like, come on. Studio Laika is an underappreciated studio that definitely needs support every time they release a film. Coraline and Kubo and the Two Strings are some of the best modern animation out there. Boxtrolls has beautiful stop motion animation with colorful, inventive designs. I love the world of this movie with it's like it has an old European folktale feel to it. The Boxtrolls themselves are adorable, and it has a heartwarming story of finding family in the unlikeliest of places. Unfortunately, I didn't love this movie, as this might be my least favorite Laika offering. The story didn't hit me as hard, but I feel like kids would enjoy this. If you like stop motion animation and adorable trolls in boxes, then give this a watch. It's a 7 out of 10 jack-o'-lantern. Wow, I can't believe a year has passed since I started this in 2020, and now I have 2 of these down. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Here's my ranking of the movies I saw this year from best to worst. Yeah, I'll be doing more of these series whenever I can, and thank you so much for watching, and happy Halloween. Mwah!